afternoon. Welcome to the marketplace. Coming up, the Bank of Ghana revises its dollar auction program, targeting $300 million dollar sale every week as it rolls out fresh measures to firmly stabilize the cedi after recent pressures. Meanwhile, the Bank of Ghana is set to introduce a new set of regulatory measures aimed at addressing interest rate risks and tightening oversight of banking practices.
Issue new exposure drafts in a number of areas such as liquidity risk management, interest rate risk in the banking book, stress testing.
We'll bring you more. Plus, the World Bank revises upwards Ghana's end-year growth rate to 4.3%, but casts doubts about the country maintaining single-digit inflation in the coming months. My name is Darryl Kwao. Thanks for being with us. Details coming up. Thanks for staying with us, everyone. The Bank of Ghana is making major changes to how it supplies dollars to the market as part of efforts to stabilize the cedi. In a bold move, the central bank will now auction $300 million every week, a shift aimed at boosting foreign exchange availability and easing pressure on the local currency.
Bank of Ghana has also moved away from selling dollars every other week to more of spot or daily, and has also moved to provide the amount immediately to the commercial banks that would participate in the activity. The central bank, by this initiative, would no longer be managing foreign exchange allocations for bank customers. The regulator believes this new approach will provide more certainty to the commercial banks in terms of dollar supply. Well, for those that are worried about this initiative depleting the country's reserves, the assurance is that it will not happen, because it looks like the central bank will be using the windfall made from the sale of gold purchase through its domestic program to feed the market, a move that will protect the country's reserves. Persons close to the Bank of Ghana have told Joy Business that they will still go ahead with its reserve accumulation program. It believes that all these initiatives could improve dollar supply on the market, which may go a long way to firmly stabilize the Ghana cedi. The local currency's rate of depreciation against the dollar over the past 2 weeks has slowed significantly, but we are not sure for now whether the cedi is back on that path to stability as witnessed earlier this year.
Meanwhile, the Bank of Ghana is set to announce a new set of regulatory measures aimed at addressing interest rate risks and tightening oversight of banking practices. Governor Dr. Johnson Esiama outlined the upcoming reforms during a high-level meeting with chief executives of commercial banks in Accra.
The Bank of Ghana has introduced a number of new directives, as you are aware, to strengthen prudential oversight and risk management. Examples of these include the Bank Assurance Directive that we issued recently, the Large Exposures Directive, and the guidelines on credit concentration risk management. We have also extended the transition period for the outsourcing directive to end in December, at the end of December 2025, following consultations with the Ghana Association of Bankers. I want to emphasize, colleagues, that this will be the final extension, and banks must ensure full compliance thereafter. Now, looking ahead, the bank will issue new exposure drafts in a number of areas such as liquidity risk management, interest rate risk in the banking book, stress testing, and also recovery planning. We'll be in touch with you on these shortly. These are part of a broader framework to align Ghana's banking supervision with international best practices.
Now, the World Bank is more optimistic about Ghana's economic outlook for the end of the year. In its latest report, the Bank of Ghana has revised the country's 2025 growth rate upward, projecting the economy will expand by 4.3% by December, up from an estimate of 3.9%. However, the World Bank maintains remains cautious on inflation. It does not expect Ghana to achieve single-digit inflation by year-end and is now forecasting an inflation rate of 15.4%. This afternoon, government says it is committed to making Ghana a pharmaceutical manufacturing hub in the sub-region. Delivering a speech on behalf of the Vice President at the opening ceremony of the 2025 African Healthcare Manufacturing Trade Exhibition and Conference currently ongoing in Accra, policy advisor at the office of the Vice President, Samuel Fuso-Ampofo, emphasized the move will contribute to the country's industrial agenda, create jobs and boost exports.
Set under the theme Collaborate to Compete, Strengthening Partnerships for Sustainable Growth, the 2025 Africa Healthcare Manufacturing Trade and Exhibition Conference brings together over 200 delegates, 46 speakers, 11 organizations and 26 country representatives. The conference is aimed at accelerating the local production of medicines and health products across Africa. Speaking on behalf of the Vice President, Professor Jane Nano Pokwajiman, policy advisor at the Office of the Vice President, Samuel Fuso-Ampofo, emphasized government's plan of making Ghana a pharmaceutical manufacturing hub.
The government is poised to implement an ambitious and transformative agenda to modernize and expand our manufacturing base, especially within the pharmaceutical and healthcare sectors. We are committed to re-engineering Ghana's manufacturing sector into a globally competitive powerhouse anchored on value addition, industrial innovation, and regional trade integration. Our goal is clear: to make Ghana a preferred destination for high-quality African products, driving jobs, export revenue, and self-sufficient across the continent.
With the African Continental Free Trade Area, local pharmaceutical set under the theme Collaborate to Compete, Strengthening Partnerships for Sustainable Growth, set under the theme Collaborate.
All right, obviously a bit of a challenge there. We're taking a short break. We'll be right back. We are back. Thanks for staying with us on the marketplace. Now, government says it is committed to making Ghana a pharmaceutical manufacturing hub in the sub-region. Delivering a speech on behalf of the Vice President at the opening ceremony of the 2025 African Healthcare Manufacturing Trade Exhibition and Conference, currently ongoing in Accra, policy advisor at the Office of the Vice President, Samuel Fuso-Ampofo, emphasized the move will contribute to the country's industrial agenda, create jobs and boost exports.
Set under the theme Collaborate to Compete, Strengthening Partnerships for Sustainable Growth, the 2025 Africa Healthcare Manufacturing Trade and Exhibition Conference brings together over 200 delegates, 46 speakers, 11 organizations and 26 country representatives. The conference is aimed at accelerating the local production of medicines and health products across Africa. Speaking on behalf of the Vice President, Professor Jane Nano Pokwajiman, policy advisor at the Office of the Vice President, Samuel Fuso-Ampofo, emphasized government's plan of making Ghana a pharmaceutical manufacturing hub.
The government is poised to implement an ambitious and transformative agenda to modernize and expand our manufacturing base, especially within the pharmaceutical and healthcare sectors. We are committed to re-engineering Ghana's manufacturing sector into a globally competitive powerhouse anchored on value addition, industrial innovation, and regional trade integration. Our goal is clear: to make Ghana a preferred destination for high-quality African products, driving jobs, export revenue, and self-sufficient across the continent.
With the African Continental Free Trade Area, local pharmaceutical companies have a chance to scale up and export across the continent. Emmanuel Majuru, Chair, Federation of African Manufacturing Association, called for more collaborations to promote the patronage of medicines made in Africa by Africans.
Intra-Africa trade, ladies and gentlemen, accounts for only 13% of total trade in Africa. And African pharmaceutical production meets only 30 to 40% of local demand. We have made progress, but much more needs to be done. We require bold action to unlock the potential of a thriving African healthcare manufacturing industry. We should leverage market access to build a sustainable, vibrant local healthcare manufacturing industry in Africa.
Among the expected outcomes of the conference are new partnerships, policy direction, and investment deals that support regional manufacturing capacity.
Let's talk tech next. It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and with cybercrime on the rise in Ghana now exceeding 70%, the government has announced plans to establish a specialized court dedicated to handling cyber-related offenses. The initiative, led by the Ministry of Communications in collaboration with the Attorney General's Department, aims to speed up prosecution and strengthen the country's cybersecurity enforcement. But how prepared is Ghana's legal and digital infrastructure for this bold move? We're going to speak with tech analyst Henry Kobler, also lead for Eyes of Africa, for insights on the implications of this development and the road ahead. Good afternoon to you. So, how significant is the establishment of specialized cybercrime court for Ghana's fight against online threats, and what challenges do you foresee in its implementation?
Thank you very much, Daryl. So I think that there's a lot of intentionality from the minister and then the Attorney General, which must be recommended. I mean, seeing these efforts being pushed into being able to curb cybersecurity, help cybersecurity in our space is a very great one. And I think that this is an effort that we can sort of recommend and commend them for. But again, there are quite a number of things that I'm sort of looking at way beyond just the courts that's sort of going to be there. I mean, having the courts is sort of great enough to be pushing in prosecutions and all of that. But again, it goes way beyond that. I mean, we're looking at prevention, and I'm going to look at how or what are the efforts that are being pushed into making sure that most of these cases that sort of pop up are more prevented rather than being in place and then going through prosecutions. Prosecutions basically take a bit of time, regardless of the courts that are sort of set up. There's going to be quite a lot of things that we have to look at in terms of these courts. You're looking at the what do you call it? The judges and then the prosecutors in this case having to put in a lot of work to learn and understand the space in itself, which comes in. Again, you're looking at a setup which would be helping or put in place to be able to understand most of these cases, the forensics that comes into place, the vector attacks that comes in. I mean, most of these cases generally in itself do not just happen locally. They are trans borders. And so generally, if you have cases that are going way beyond your borders, like we've seen in the very recent time, you're having a lot of extraditions that are happening from our country into the that's only because they have the infrastructure available, and so they're able to now do a lot of investigations. But I think that in itself is a way to go, but we should be looking at more preventive measures, setting up and using AI data to be able to prevent most of these attacks from happening rather than going through persecutions.
Yeah, while we speak about fraud is on the rise in Ghana's betting sector despite Africa's progress, according to a 2025 iGaming report. What key technologies or strategies can we adopt to combat this effectively, as highlighted in the latest report by iGaming?
Yeah, so I think that a very strong identity verification is really needed. I'm not seeing that verifications on most of these gaming platforms, which is a call to worry. I mean, we're having the database and then the API available from the national database. That could really be a game changer if we're having most of these implemented, where we're having a stronger KYCs on most of these platforms to curb and stop the identity frauds which happens. Again, we're also looking at the data and browser fingerprints that happens there, the IP intelligence, and then the geolocations to be able to detect account takeovers, the location spoofing, and all of that happens there as well, which is great if it will come into play. And then we're also looking at behavior analytics and then machine learning, which comes in as a model which can be able to understand what really happens, the behaviors that are able to happen on these platforms as well. And then I think that a bit of a robust transaction monitoring is also very needed, where you're having a bit more robustness in terms of AML and compliances on these platforms. I think that gives us a stronger zeal to it. And then I think that last one I'll add is to share threat intelligence across operations. Like I said earlier, these operations do not just happen locally. We're having them being trans-border. And so sharing most of these informations across would be able to help.
Yeah, one more tech headline before we go. Ghana partnering TikTok to provide training for digital content creators. Are you excited about that? I mean, how will this impact Ghana's digital content creation ecosystem, and what's the potential for growth?
Yes, I'm excited. I've always complained about the kind of content that we have in Ghana, because you're looking at most of these content creators, they sort of sorting out for numbers and chasing up for the numbers, the money, rather than creating content that actually imposes impact as well. So some do not even just understand the algorithm and how it really works, and so they're just using every means to have the numbers come in. And so some level of training coming through from TikTok itself is great. I like the fact that JCB had actually been chosen to be pushing out for the payouts, which is great. I'm looking at the government using a very strategic point to get in Forex, and again through the GCB point. I'm excited that a very local bank is at the helm of it. I'm waiting to have and see what they're able to do with that. But again, I think that we need to go beyond that as well. There has to be that clear policy points that are coming in, tax and legal clarity that has to be very clear for us. Friendly payout systems should also be in place as well. And then again, I would take the last one as the production, the management, and the ad sales that would be coming. There should be some level of transparency that comes into play there, and for us to benefit from it.
All right, thank you so much. Lead for Eyes of Africa, Henry Kobler there. I appreciate your time. Now, the Newmont Alpha Development Foundation, the corporate social investment wing of Newmont's Alpha Mines, has injected over 1.8 million Ghana cedis into 13 local businesses within its host communities. The initiative, according to the foundation's executive secretary, Elizabeth Opoku-Darko, is aimed at boosting economic empowerment and diversifying livelihoods in areas impacted by mining operations. Our regional correspondent Emmanuel Edujemfi has more.
We gave support to 13 businesses within the Kenyasi No. 2 community. And this is part of our economic empowerment. So most of them are females, are women, so that they can also support their families, especially the children when it comes to their well-being. And we'll continue to support businesses within the community and to diversify the economy of our mine communities.
Elizabeth Opoku-Darko also indicated the role of the economic empowerment scheme in job creation.
So we have an economic empowerment scheme that looks at supporting businesses within the community to either set up or to improve the existing businesses they have. So this fund, that is 1,850,000 Ghana cedis, went for 13 businesses. And this is to improve existing businesses, to help them expand and create jobs.
The executive secretary of the Newmont Alpha Development Foundation, in addition, said many lives have been economically impacted since 2011.
From 2011, we've been supporting community members with microcredit. And our microcredit scheme are short-term. But the business startup support is a 2-year facility that supports businesses with an interest that is very low to help them improve on what they do. So that is what happened today. I would say I'm very happy that Kenyasi No. 2 is continuing this. We've supported other members within the community before. So this is a continuation of something that we are doing.
Benjamin Buampong, a beneficiary of the disbursement from Kenyasi No. 2, expressed gratitude to NADEF for championing socio-economic development in the 10 host communities of Neymont.
We are grateful to NADEF for bringing this startup capital. We're going to help our business and create employment too for our youth in the communities. We are 13 number from Kenya as number 2. This is the second time. The first time was last year. We had 3 individuals benefiting from it, and today we are here and we are receiving 1,850,000 Ghana cedis as startup capital.
Reporting from Totroso in the Hafo region for Joy News, Emmanuel Edujemfi.
And that's all the time we have for this bulletin. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. World Bank revises Ghana's end-year growth rate upward to 4.3%. We told you about that. myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Darrell Kwao. Thanks for watching. We'll leave you with our Money Lab episode for today.
Hi, welcome to Money Lab. My name is Paul Manti, MD of EDC Investment Limited. The past few weeks we've been talking about personal finance, and today I want to bring your attention to an important area, that is creating a money machine. A machine that creates money for you. And one important money machine I want to bring your attention to is paper assets. When we talk about paper assets, we're talking about financial instruments like the treasury bills, like the mutual funds, like the EDC fixed income fund, the EDC money market fund, among other things. The beautiful thing about this paper asset is that you put your money in and the money works for you, and the money generates returns for you. I want to encourage you, if you want to gain financial independence, by all means invest in money machine. And one area I want you to pay attention to is paper assets. Many thanks for making time for Money Lab.